The trees knew I was coming before I even turned off the engine. I don't know how else to say it. I felt it the second I stepped out of my truck. This warmth, this attention, like walking into a room and every single person already has their eyes on you. Except it was just trees, 500 of them. And they'd been waiting for 18 years. Let me back up. When I was 5 years old, my grandpa took me out to a stretch of land our family owned about 40 minutes outside of town. Flat, dry, empty. He handed me a little pine sapling and showed me how to press it into the dirt. Heel of the hand, firm, don't let it lean. We planted 500 that day, maybe 600. I was a kid, I stopped counting. My grandpa had this patience about him that I've never seen in another person. He never rushed anything. He talked to the trees while we worked. I thought that was funny at the time. I don't think it's funny now. He died 2 years later. We didn't go back to the land after that. Nobody did. It just sat there. 18 years passed. I'm 23 now. A couple of friends wanted to go camping and I thought of the property. I hadn't thought about it in years, honestly. It was just a thing that existed somewhere, a place I'd been once as a small kid. We drove out on a Friday evening. I knew we were close when the GPS started showing the edge of the property line, but I didn't need the GPS. I could see the trees from the road, 30, maybe 40 feet tall, a solid wall of dark green rising up out of flat farmland. It looked wrong in the best way, like something that had no business being that big, that full, that alive out here. I pulled over before we reached the entrance. I just stared at it for a minute. My friend in the passenger seat asked what was wrong. I didn't have an answer. We parked and walked in, and that's when it happened. That feeling. I've been trying to find the right word for it for weeks now, and I keep landing on the same one. Recognized. I felt recognized, not welcomed the way you feel welcomed into a warm building. Recognized the way you feel when someone who loves you sees you across a parking lot and their face changes. I felt it from every direction at once. My friends felt something too. They didn't say it outright, but they got quieter. We all did. We set up camp and nobody played music, which never happens with this group. We just sat there in it, whatever it was, and let it sit with us. The light inside those trees was different. I know how that sounds, but it was softer than it should have been for that time of evening. It moved differently through the branches. I kept catching movement at the edge of my vision. Not animals, not wind, just this slow breathing shift in the air between the trunks. I thought about my grandpa talking to the saplings. Heel of the hand, don't let it lean. I thought about 500 living things growing up in a place that no one visited for nearly 2 decades, and what that growth holds and what it remembers. I'm not a spiritual person. I'm telling you this because I want you to understand I wasn't looking for this feeling. It found me. I slept better in that forest than I have in years. Deep, dreamless, the kind of sleep you wake up from and feel like something was taken care of. My friends said the same thing independently before I mentioned it. On the last morning, I walked to the far edge of the tree line alone. I put my hand on one of the pines. The bark was rough and cold. And I know this sounds like something I'm adding for effect. I'm not. The second I made contact, the branches above me moved, all of them. There was no wind. There was no wind at all that morning. I stood there with my hand on that tree for a long time. I'm going back next month. I've already made the plan. I don't fully know what's in there with me when I'm in those trees. I don't think it's nothing. Whatever it is, it started growing before I was old enough to understand what I was doing. And it's been waiting longer than I've been paying attention. I just want to make sure it knows I'm coming back. Follow if you want to hear more stories like this. I have too many.